Good afternoon, San Diego. Thanks so much for joining us today. I'm Claire McKee, and this is Real Talk Escondido. We're here to bring you the business of life in America's finest city. As always, the show is presented by our loyal partners at 5 Star Escrow and First American Title. And we're giving you a little bit of the State of the Union of Escondido today, if you will. So we're going to be talking school systems, we're going to be talking real estate, and all the good things going on in Escondido that we would love for you to know about. So joining me today to do so is Debi Krichbaum. She is the broker realtor with Hometown Advantage. Hi, Debi.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Nice to have you back.
Thank you.
Glad
to be here.
You. And to my left, I have Dr. Luis Ibarra. He is the superintendent of Escondido Union School District. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You ready to have some fun?
I am ready.
Let's do it. So, you know, I got to start off on the light side. I just want to get to know them a little bit better and share that with you. So, Debi, why don't you start out by telling us what is one goal that you've set for yourself this year? What do you want to check off the list?
Great question. So far this year, I think the biggest thing for me is that the goals I set actually get completed. And so checking them off is a huge satisfaction for me.
So really doing it, making them and following through with it. That's your goal. I mean, the goal is to achieve your goals.
Yes.
I like it. What about you?
For me, it's about eating healthier. It's, with all the holidays, all the cookies around and everything, it was really hard to keep eating healthy.
Yeah.
I kind of want to do that, along with creating balance in my life.
Certainly. We had a personal trainer on the show earlier today, and he's like, what's your thing? Like, what do you have trouble with? And I'm like, I have a sweet tooth, like no tomorrow. All the cookies, cake, pies, like just give them all to me. So I feel you on that, getting back on track. Debi, what did you want to be when you grew up?
You know, back in the day, I grew up in the restaurant business, and so I thought I wanted to own a restaurant until I stepped into that, and then I changed my mind.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's an interesting industry. What did you want to be when you grew up, Dr. Ibarra?
I actually wanted to be a teacher.
Did you?
I had a third grade teacher who was really wonderful. She would made learning fun and exciting, and in third grade, I knew I wanted to have my classroom modeled after that. Mrs. Diaz.
Did you become a teacher before you were a superintendent?
I was. I did.
So you did it.
Yep, I did it.
My mom is a teacher, and I used to think I wanted to be a teacher as well, and the older I got, the less I wanted to do that. So I went a totally different route. Dr. Ibarra, who is someone that's really inspirational to you?
My mother.
Your mother?
Yeah.
And why is that?
Because she was there for us. She worked really hard. My dad was also in the picture, but he worked, took care of the breadwinning, but my mom was there for parent conferences and just giving us that support that we needed to just get through.
So important. What about you? Who's someone inspirational to you?
I'd have to deflect and say the same thing with the parents. My mom and my dad really were influential to me. Just set the bar for kind of achieving excellence, but being humble while you were doing
And
it.
you take that through your whole life. You
do.
really do. Sets the tone. Debi, what if you could be like besties with any famous person, dead or alive? It can be anyone. Who would it be?
Dead or alive?
Who are you going to spend a day with?
Who would I spend a day with? I think somebody kind of funky and strange, maybe like an Albert Einstein.
Ooh.
Just kind of see what's ticking in his brain
No
for a while.
kidding. Yeah, super interesting. What about you?
Wow, that's a tough one.
It is.
Having just seen the Golden Globes, I think somebody like a Tom Hanks, you know, someone that I've watched in a lot of movies. So I think like a Tom Hanks.
I always think just the stories that people can share. You could just pick their brains forever. Like, on to the next one. Tell me another good story. Right. Super cool. If you care, I would kick it with Rihanna. I'm just saying. Okay. So my last question, as we're getting warmed up here, if money was unlimited, you just had $1 zillion, no worries, what would be the first thing you would do?
I would probably buy vacation homes in different parts of the world.
Super cool.
Yes. Now, I would certainly share the keys with other people.
There you go. What's the first place that you would want to buy a home in?
I would probably go Italy first, followed by France.
Ooh. I'm going to rent that from you. So you just let me know when that happens.
Deal.
I'll help you out. Dr. Ibarra, what about you?
Wow.
Unlimited funds.
Unlimited funds. Probably travel. I mean, just take a month or two to just travel the world.
Every time I leave San Diego, I'm always so happy to come back, but I feel like you just learn a whole nother side of the world. Even if you just go to a different state,
Oh, right.
things are just so different everywhere you go, and I think that's really important to experience. So guys, we're just getting started, but if you like what you see, be sure to click follow on our live feed so you can get notified every time we go live. And the coolest thing about being on Facebook Live is that we get to interact with you, our audience. So if you have questions for us, if you just want to tell us that we're awesome, that is totally welcomed. So drop us a comment below and we'll give you a little shout out here. So I want to start off, we're going to talk to Dr. Ibarra, Superintendent of the Escondido Union School District, but I want to play a little clip first. It's a pretty general overview of what they've got going on there, and I think it'll be a really nice insight to set the stage a little bit. So if we want to play that.
We are the Escondido Union School
So
District.
I saw a green screen on there, Dr. Ibarra. Do the kids have a media type of training or class as well?
There's actually several media classes, technology media classes at middle schools and also our elementary schools. Students learn how to be anchors and share the news. You know, the old traditional morning announcements are now done through the use of technical media.
That is so cool to me. We did not have anything like that when I was in school.
Same.
Not at all. So I can only imagine they're going to be taking my job. I better watch out. They're starting early.
And actually, a little bit about the video is
Yeah.
we actually have one of those highlight videos that wants to highlight different initiatives throughout the district of what we have going through the arts and technology. But also we have one for each one of our schools. So any parent, prospective parent that wants to know more about our district can go on the website under the YEUSD
Okay.
and click on each school, and there's a highlight video, just an introductory video. You get to meet the principal and just see what makes that school special.
That's amazing. So what a great online resource. Why don't you share with us, Dr. Ibarra, your background a little bit and how you became the superintendent of Escondido Union School District?
Well, it's actually started out as a teacher. Spent some time as a teacher, then went into and became a principal, elementary principal for about 6 years. Moved into the district office, started in human resources for a number of years, then went into the business services side of the house. And then before you know it, I had an opportunity to become the superintendent. So
Didn't you
there
make that
have it.
sound so easy?
Yeah, piece of
Before
cake.
you know it, I was the superintendent, you know. Why don't you share with us the mission statement of the Escondido Union School District?
Well, actually, our vision is to actualize the unlimited potential of every learner.
I love it.
And really, we see our jobs as to ignite that passion in all the students. And we know, we all believe that all our kids can learn and that students all have an individual passion. And it's our job in the school system to actualize that, make that a reality, help the students discover what that is,
Yeah.
and then help tailor it, sponsor it, cultivate it.
Yeah, and I think what's amazing about it is that we all know everyone learns a little bit differently. And so you have these hands-on type of programs where they can really get in there and get down and dirty and experience these things. What better way to figure out what you want to do to just immerse yourself in it rather than picking up a book all day, every day.
Right, exactly.
School has changed, definitely, and it's really interesting to see that. So I want to talk a little bit about what our title of the video is, and that's where the heck are my tax dollars going? And I know that from your perspective, I'm sure it's not always easy to get the taxpayers on board to support these initiatives. So share some things that the money is going towards, some incredible things you have
Well,
going
we're
on.
referring to Proposition E, which was our latest facilities bond measure, and that was passed in 2014. It's a $182.1 million bond initiative to modernize and renovate our facilities, bring them up to the 21st century. And we have some of our schools, our oldest was built in 1938,
Wow.
Central School. So while it has its charm, I mean, a lot of the infrastructure is in dire need of some renovations. So we've been doing some exciting things with the bond dollars. Most recently, we had our Mission Middle School. We just opened the new math and science building. It's a 2-story building, focused on math and science. We've got about 12 classrooms. There's 6 classrooms for science labs. There's some open spaces so the kids can collaborate and work together on projects. I mean, it's really state of the art. What's really exciting is the way this the building was constructed. It's a modular construction. So it's 36 units built off-site, were trucked in one day. There was a building
What?
at the school.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
36 modular units, and they're kind of stacked, and it's like a erector set or Lego blocks.
Yeah.
And you have a building.
And there you are, new math and science programs. And
Exactly.
how does that translate to the students' learning experience?
Well, you've got now the facility to match with the curriculum. So students especially are now with the technology that's available, they're able to work, collaborate, and be creative in their space and their environment. So you've got open concepts where you can have your traditional classrooms, but then doors open up, there's a garage door, they open up, and the kids can, from math and science, can start working together on projects. And it's very,
really cool.
very innovative.
Sounds very collaborative too.
Yes.
Very interesting. And I know Proposition 39 was a big one for Escondido because it allowed you to build 4 new schools, right?
Yeah, well, that was actually the previous bond measure. That was in 2002.
Okay.
And that allowed the district to build 4 new schools as well.
And how many schools are in the district?
We have 23 schools,
Wow.
Yeah.
So I
got
mean,
16,000 students.
that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Holy moly. So we also would definitely want to talk about the Quantum Academy of Escondido because it was recognized as an Apple, what is it? Apple Distinguished School.
Yes, Apple Distinguished School. So Quantum Academy was it's one of our newest schools. It was built, actually it was created and designed by 2 teachers. It was a very innovative project. So we had the design team that worked on creating a school using all the latest innovative techniques, from design thinking, and really looking at what would that school be that you would dream of teaching. Where would you dream of sending your child to? Taking all the different elements, they did a lot of research looking at different school models, and in 2015 that design became a reality. And so it's a school that's intermediate, students 4th through 8th grade, and it was recognized for our one-to-one take-home program. So we call it our laboratory school. So we test things out at the school. For example, we had the one-in-one initiative started there, and now we're ready to duplicate that throughout the entire district.
So when you say one-to-one, what are they taking home?
iPads.
Oh my gosh.
And they're actually
We
going to be
went
able
to
to.
school the wrong time.
I wanna
was
go back.
saying, Yeah. Hello.
So we're actually launched the one-to-one initiative this year for the entire district. So our goal is to have every student by 2020 have a device where they're able to take home. And so we had to go through all the security so that the network goes through the district's network so that we have safety and security in the homes when students are online. And
I would imagine that sometimes people fear, oh, well, my kid has an iPad. Are they playing games on it? So can you maybe give some examples of the practicality and how it's actually advancing their learning?
well, the practicality goes into the assignments where students can be able to work and practice at their own level, whether through different applications, different programs. They're able to access their textbooks now online. So you have a book. So if you're a middle school students and the backpacks, their kids are carrying those.
They're broken. Your
Right.
back is broken from those
They
heavy
can now
backpacks.
access their textbooks, their novels through the iPad. And so if they can still use their regular textbooks, but if they forget them, they have access to that. A lot of neat applications. But really the innovation comes with what they're able to do. In these applications, when you're reading, you can actually highlight using the iPad, start getting different clips and go into another application and create a PowerPoint for a presentation. They can create a whole lot of different things that used to, I couldn't even contemplate when I was in school. So it's just,
I feel like you're bringing the university type of sophistication to elementary school students.
well, isn't that what we really want to train our students for the real world?
Yeah.
I mean, when we're working, we're collaborating, we're reading text for a particular purpose. Perhaps it's a text so that you can create a presentation. That's what we want to prepare students for.
That is so incredible. So what would you say is the best thing about your job?
Oh, the best thing about my job, there's so many things. The best thing about my job is you're able to see the fruits of our labor come to fruition, where you see teachers and students, you have those aha moments, I call them, when you're walking through a classroom and you see a student say, I get it. or when even they get, because the students are collaborating much more and they're learning, you see that happen, it's like, okay, there's a moment of learning that just occurred. To see that starting to happen, it's like popcorn. It's just happening all over, so that's exciting.
That is super exciting. It's just incredible what technology has afforded us, you know,
Absolutely.
and how it's even changed your business and how we all learn. And like you said, you communicate with people constantly in the real world, if you will. And so I love to hear that we're moving towards that collaborative and learning environment where you can bounce ideas off of each other and really work together towards a common goal. Very cool. Dr. Luis Ibarra, Superintendent of Escondido Union School District. What do you want our listeners to know? Is there anything that they can do to help these initiatives that you're taking place in?
Just take the time to learn about our district. We have a very user-friendly website that was designed with parents in mind, our community in mind. And so if you look at the front page at eusd.org, you could, if you're a community member or prospective home buyer that wants to learn more about our schools, you can click on that button and get a lot of wealth of information about our schools, our initiatives. And like I said, there's a video highlighting each one of our schools so that parents can get familiar because we know it's hard to get the information out there. Our parents know what's going on in our schools, but the more you have prospective parents or even community members or members that may not have students or senior citizens, it's important to keep them abreast of what's going on so that they continue to support our schools.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
and talk about all the positive things that are going on. Too many times we get mired down with all the negatives, negativity. It's like, look at all the wonderful things that are going on in your child's schools and all of them and let people know about them.
Yeah, and that's why I love doing this show because we do get so tied down with the negativity and the daily news cycle. And so to be able to share the amazing things that you have going on in Escondido is really special. And I think that ultimately by the child's learning experience being elevated, it allows the parents to play a more important role and have access to their assignments and really play a role in their life because they can be so connected and aware of what's going on at all times.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. So if you want more information about the Escondido Union School District, feel free to go to eusd.org. And like Dr. Ibarra mentioned, you can find those resources and videos on there for each of the schools and just learn a little bit more about them. Thank you so much for sharing that information.
You're welcome.
We're going to switch gears here a little bit, but not too much because real estate plays a huge role in pretty much school systems in general, right? If you have children, you want to know that that school district is going to take care of your kids and that they're going to get a great education for it. So North County's kind of your bread and butter. What is your Vista, right?
I'm located in actually all of North County, from Carlsbad clear along the 78 corridor through Escondido.
That's your hood.
It is. It's my hood.
So talk a little bit about the school system and how that plays a role for your buyers looking to move into the area.
Absolutely. I find that whether people have kids or not, quite honestly, the schools are one of the most important decision points for where they would purchase a home. Even if people don't have kids or even grandkids or anything that would actually utilize the school system, they recognize that the school district creates value. And so people really want to know that there are wonderful schools, as we do have in the Escondido area for sure.
Creates a sense of community, I think, too. There's something that goes along with a really solid school system, certainly. So tell us about Escondido in general. What draws people or the buyer to the Escondido community?
What I find is it's a little bit different if it's a local person from San Diego or if it's a relocation client.
Okay.
The relocation client always thinks in their mind that they want to be right at the coast. And then they start to look at the price tags and the microscopic size piece of land that they're going to be on. And as we start talking about really what their desires are, they often find that being just a few more miles inland not only gets them a beautiful home with a lot more land, but it gets them a sense of community that's very established in the Escondido neighborhood. And so I see that from the relocation clients. The folks that are from San Diego oftentimes thought that they wanted to buy, again, sometimes along the coast, and then they start to find that the weather patterns, the traffic patterns, things that really affect their day-to-day lives work just as well for them working off the 15 corridor than it does off the 5 corridor.
Sure. So you may not be a teacher, but you are constantly educating your clients on, this is your wish list, but maybe you don't realize that this too is on your wish list and that this would make you just as happy.
Yes.
So setting that expectation and really just educating them on what might be best for them and showing them those options. It's a huge part. I also, when we spoke last week, you mentioned that a lot of people who sell their home in Escondido buy another home in Escondido. I mean, that says a lot, right?
Absolutely.
I agree. And I'm sure that you see that with attendance records as well,
Absolutely.
and the registration is when people do get a home in Escondido, I find that they do often move. Sometimes it is to a larger home. You know, they've outgrown the one that they have.
Sure.
Sometimes it's to get more space or, you know, closer to some activity that some of the kids are in. But I find that the people that do live in Escondido seem to be very happy and satisfied and convinced. And I find a lot of repeat clients move from one address in Escondido to another.
And
The Newsweek, actually, there was a Newsweek award. They named Escondido the best place to retire
I saw that.
and the best place to raise a family. So
Really?
you've got both ends of the spectrum in Escondido because of all the, all the events, especially in downtown areas, just gone through a huge transformation. You've got a lot of great restaurants. You've got a new John Paul Hopkins University, so it's
Yes.
bringing kind of the college vibes. You've got some pubs opening up, some great restaurants. So it's really, the city itself is very vibrant and
Agree.
yeah.
it
Yeah.
just makes me think family, you know, to be
Yes.
able to have your retired grandparents, you know, live in
Exactly.
the same community that you can go to college in, you can raise your own family, you may have grown up there your whole life.
Absolutely.
What is more community like, if you will?
Well, and it's an easy access point too if you want to go, let's say, up to Temecula for the wine tours or whatnot. If you do
Yes,
want to
please.
go, yes, please sign us up.
Right.
And even heading downtown San Diego is not a 20 minutes, maybe
Right.
30 from the Escondido area too.
What about to the coast for the people who are worried about they
Yes.
don't want to move away from the coast? How long till we get to the coast from Escondido?
I'm finding myself that if I'm in Escondido and it's not commuters hours, 15 to 20 minutes.
Easy.
Yeah, it's not bad. If you're going to hit the beach and you're up by 9 o'clock, you're there by 9:45.
Awesome. I love it. So in regards to the seller aspect of it, what is maybe some advice you have for sellers just to get the most bang for your buck and get the house sold?
Love that question. Everybody, when they first call, they'll often say, oh, do we need to renovate? Do we need to remodel? Should we make the color scheme like it is on, all the designer TV shows? And my best impression right now that really goes along with the school district's vision is that people want smart schools and they want smart homes.
Okay.
So oftentimes adding features to your home that may not even cost that much money, but that might automate systems for security systems, the central heating and air conditioning, temperatures, lighting. There's so much of that, and people seem very interested in the solar right now as well.
Solar is a huge value add. And a lot of these things, like you said, it's not a huge investment, but it will make you an ROI on that investment
Correct.
for sure.
Yes.
So I think the important thing to know is really getting a real estate professional involved on the front end, because then you can walk them through, hey, this would be really worth your while. This would be a
Yes.
good investment. Would you agree?
I would, and I would even say we often will tell them projects not to do. Sometimes there's somebody thinking they're going to add on a bedroom to make it a 4-bedroom home, and it's easy to sit down and look at it and say, you're going to spend $25,000 and you might recoup less than that.
Right.
So keep your money and just go for the things that are the real hot buttons of today's buyers.
Absolutely, and there's so much. So we don't expect you all to know
Yes.
it, right? Call someone who knows and sees it all day, every day. So that's a lot regarding sellers. Maybe what about buyers? Just setting the expectation, like what should they expect if they're looking in the Escondido area?
The Escondido area often has not enough homes for sale at any given time. So again, a call to sellers, it's a great time to sell. What I find is because the affordability is a little stronger than it is in the coastal areas, it's real important to get pre-approved with a lender that you feel real confident about.
Okay.
Have the solid number in mind of where you really can afford to buy a home, so that when you do put an offer in, you set a strong, confident offer, and that gives the seller a better opportunity to respond to you in a positive way.
And then you're not disappointed, right? Because
Correct,
it sucks
yes.
to want a house really bad and you're psyched on it and you just don't get it. And
Yes.
with the low inventory, I hear that happens a lot. So get your ducks in a row on the front end is what I'm hearing.
Yes.
Very cool. So tell me a little bit more about yourself, Debbie, and your brokerage. You have a very boutique brokerage, and that's important to you. So I'd like for you to share that with our listeners.
Absolutely. I started going off into a boutique industry of real estate probably now about 12 years ago. And I felt the need to be able to respond to what the client wanted more than me dictating kind of company policy, if you will.
Okay.
I think what I really enjoy about being a small boutique shop, and I know around the world a lot of times they use the word indie, you know, almost like independent indie. So indie boutique, same kind of a concept.
Sure.
What I find is when I'll sit with the client, having grown up as a kid in the restaurant business, I was always taught that the customer is king.
Yeah.
And so the philosophy of being in the service industry and serving the client instead of kind of dictating to them the way the program was going to go was really important to me. I would say at my hometown advantage, I like to sit down and listen to what the client wants, and sometimes it's what they've been based on from past experiences, good or bad, and what they are, you know, if they're technically advanced or if they're very tech shy, either way, to be able to sit down and find out what's comfortable for them and then tailor a custom plan based on their needs and their timeline and their price point.
I'm glad you brought up the technology aspect because completely aligned with what Dr. Ibarra was sharing. It's changing the way that we live, the way we do business, the way we eat and breathe, I feel like. And so how have you seen that either positively or negatively impact the real estate transaction?
It's interesting. I started in real estate about 27 years ago, and I'm not even sure if we had a fax machine back in the day.
Where do we find these people that look like they're like 30 and then they tell me they've been in the business for 30 years? It's not adding up. Not adding up.
But we went from literally, back when I first started, you would put the client, let's say if I was representing the buyer, you'd put the buyer in the car when you presented the offer. They would sit in the car, the offer would be presented to the seller, and any changes, you would run back out to your car, talk it to your client, you know, and sign papers and run back in.
Oh, yeah.
Flash forward 27 years or so, and now everything's done on a digital platform, which can be fantastic. The paperwork is very streamlined, very easy to read and transmit immediately. I think the hardest part for all of us in the business is to keep the human element as part of the transaction.
So true. So true. So how do you add that back to your transactions, if you will?
I find that it used to be when technology kind of first was driving the industry, we were all doing it a little poorly. We were sending documents, hoping the client could figure it out. And we started to see that we could still hold their hand through the phone. I've actually adopted some technology I think is kind of cool. It's videos that you actually would text or email to the client. So it doesn't take the place of a personal visit or a true phone conversation, but there's certain parts of the questions that come up over and over. So it's kind of easy to create some little videos to kind of help walk their hand or maybe hold their hand electronically to kind of get through.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and then they can look at it at their convenience,
Good
right?
point, yes.
That's a huge thing. We're all so busy and we live in this I want it now world, so they can look at that on their cell phone.
True.
If it's later at night when they're in bed, they can still get that same information and know that they're taken care of. So that's super
Absolutely.
cool. So you told me when we spoke last week that you feel like you've been in real estate for a year or two because you just love it so much. And I mean, that's the type of person I want on my side. So just share, like, what is the experience like when they work with you, Debbie?
I think the reason I feel like I've only been in the business a few years is because I've just always had a natural born love for working with people. It's kind of the service industry I was just mentioning. But I just am also somewhat, I don't know, addicted to seeing homes and seeing the right people find the right property. Now, generally, the majority of my business is on the seller side. So I see it from the other side of the table. But it's easy if I hear the seller's goals and dreams, you know, oh, we'd like to have somebody buy a house and close escrow in a month. I can kind of help tailor who's their best buyer as well.
Sure.
Obviously, numbers make a difference, you know, in the offer points. But I think that sometimes just seeing each transaction is not a transaction. It's this family has this goal, wants to buy or sell or move here and there. And
It's not just numbers on a paper.
Correct,
You're
it's
truly
people.
changing people's lives.
Yes.
Affording them the American dream, essentially, and that's
True.
what we all want.
Oh, yeah.
yes.
Absolutely. So Debi Krichbaum, she's the broker realtor with Hometown Advantage. You have the best website ever.
Thank you.
GoDebi.com. My mom's name is Debbie, and so you
perfect.
hold a special place in my heart. GoDebi.com if you want to learn more about Debi Krichbaum and her boutique brokerage, Hometown Advantage. Superintendent Ibarra, I'm going to come back to you, and I just want to hear, what do you want our listeners to remember from the information you shared today? If they're going to take away one nugget, what are they going to take away?
That we've got amazing things going on in Escondido Union School District. And we're the elementary district, it's K through 8, and we really focus on making sure that we give our parents the quality educational program that they want. And we've got we approach it from the student perspective and the parent perspective. Very similar to what you were talking about. We listen to the parents, what do you want? Hence, you know, we created Quantum Academy to give the parents those choices that they're seeking and provide that through our district.
And I don't think the kids would mind having an iPad on their hip every
No,
day. Not a bad incentive.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for joining us,
Oh, it's
Superintendent.
my pleasure. Thank you.
Absolutely. And Debbie, I'm going to ask you the same question. What is your takeaway? What's the golden nugget that people should remember?
I think the golden nugget is that really Escondido is a golden nugget. It's a great place to buy a property. North County is just exploding with opportunity, and it's just a great place to live.
Awesome. So you can find out more information about the Escondido Union School District at eusd.org, and you can find Debbie at godebi.com. Hey, thank you both so much for being here today. This is Real Talk Escondido coming to you live from Smarter San Diego Studios. Have a wonderful rest of your day. We're bringing you the business of life in America's finest city. I'm Claire McKee, and you know my one rule: go love everyone. We'll see you next time.